मुमुक्षुर्वै शरणमहं प्रपद्ये। ॐ शांत शांत शांति। ॐ नमो ब्रह्मादिभ्यो ब्रह्म विद्या संप्रदाय कर्तृभ्यो वंश ऋषिभ्यो महद्भ्यो नमो गुरुभ्यः। सर्वोपप्लवरहितः प्रज्ञानघनः प्रत्यगर्थो ब्रह्मैवाहमस्मि। ब्रह्मैवाहमस्मि। वेदान्तार्थविभासकाय गुरवे शान्ताय सन्न्यासिने नानावादी नगेन्द्र संघपवये योगीन्द्रवन्द्याय च मोहध्वान्त दिवाकराय भगवत्पादाभिधाम् बिभ्रते तस्मै भाष्यकृते नमोस्तु सततं पूर्णाय बोधात्मने। यस्य निश्वसितं वेदाः यो वेदेभ्योऽखिलं जगत् निर्ममेतमहं वन्दे विद्यातीर्थमहेश्वरम्। विद्यातीर्थमहेश्वरम्। Now, it was said that in order to give the various pramanas of the Shruti and the Smritis, the author has said that Jivanmukti, or subsequently Jivanmukti, subsequently in the sense consequentially, Jivanmukti is something that is shown to us by these various smritis, and in those smritis, Jivan Mukta has been mentioned by various names. Somewhere it is said Jivan Mukta, somewhere it is said Sthita Prajna, somewhere it is said Bhagavad Bhakta, somewhere it is said Gunatita, Brahmana, Ativarnashrami, so on and so forth. But if we look at the characteristics of the Jivan Mukta mentioned over there, of the person discussed under these various headings, whether he is called as Jivan Mukta or whether he is called as Ativarnashrami or a Brahmana, so on and so forth, the Lakshanas now confirm to the basic idea that this person is free from ignorance and there is immense peace and joy in his life, that he is free from every kind of disturbance, and therefore now we can conclude that wherever it is discussed, whether it is discussed under the topic as Bhagavad Bhakta or Gunatita or Brahmana, Sthita Prajna, everywhere it is Jivan Mukta. What is meant by looking at the Lakshanas? It is understood as Jivanmukta. Thus, if there is a Jivanmukta, that means there is something like Jivanmukti. And therefore, now this is the Prayojanam, this is the purpose of discussing Jivanmukta under these various headings under the different Smriti Granthas. So the first one that he chooses is from the Vasishtha Ramayanam, Yoga Vasishtha. And in Yoga Vasishtha, the word Jivanmukta is used very clearly and giving his lakshanas, giving his the characteristic, what is the nature of a Jivanmukta has been said. Vasishtha. So now Vasishtha Rishi tells Shri Rama, because Shri Rama has questioned as what is the characteristic of a Jivanmukta. To which Vasishtha says, Yatha sthitamidam yasya vyavahara vatopi cha astam gatam sthitam vyoma sajivan mukta uchyate. Though this world is all seen, but for him the world is as if in the state of dissolution. All the names and forms have lost their significance. All the names and forms have as if lost their existence. Like that, though the names and forms are very much there, and he is also found transacting in this world of names and forms, and every name and form with their own attributes, yet for him, they have lost their significance. Not only that the world has lost its significance, but it is as if gone into oblivion. Astam gatam sthitam vyoma sajivan mukta uchyate. So such a person for whom the world has lost its significance and existence is a person who is called as Jivanmukta. Furthermore, Vasishtha Rishi says, Nodeti nastamayati sukhe dukkhe mukha prabha yatha prapte sthitir yasya sajivan mukta uchyate. Na udeti na astamayati sukha dukkhe mukha prabha. The luster of the face is not lost or does not even rise. So the luster remains the same in all the situations, whether the situation is of dukkham or the situation is of sukham. Na udeti na astamayati sukha dukkhe mukha prabha yatha prapte sthitir yasya sajivan mukta uchyate. And so what is his sthiti? Sthiti means what is his state? Whatever comes, he has a total acceptance of everything that is arriving. So, for a person who is ignorant, when he sees suffering, he says that this is a situation which should change. And when the situation is conducive, he desires that this situation enhances or at least does not change. So so there is an expectation in him which is not there. So in both the situations, the person is not ready to accept the situation. He is not ready to accept whatever comes. The Jivanmukta has a total acceptance of life, and therefore the luster on his face does not fade, or with excitement it does not become more. It remains as pleasant as the beaming moon. Mukha Prabha. What is the meaning of word Mukha Prabha? So he explains, because generally this is how people see. Mukha Prabha means that they said that it is the luster, meaning it is some sort of, there is some sort of tejas on the face. What do you mean by tejas? Oh, well, on his face we see, hey, you don't know, this fellow is using some sort of, what do they call it? The cosmetic, because of which the face is shiny. Hey, so that, and therefore, Bhagavan Bhashyakara makes it very clear. It is not Tvagata Dipti. It is not the shine of the skin, of the complexion. Then what is it? So he says Mukha Prabha means Harsha, the joy on the face. The joy on the face. Mukha Prabha means that joy. Generally, the word Prabha means light, luster of the face. Mukha Prabha, Harshaha, Srak Chandana Satkaradi Sukhe Prapte Samsarinaha Iva Harsho Nodeti. Now, when a person is honored with flowers, and he is pampered with perfumes, saints, and and with words of honor. So that if the person is thus what do they call, as praised, with the words of praise, if the person is honored, then Satkaradi Sukhe Prapte. Generally, with this worldly people, what happens? There is Harshodeti, there is an excitement. There is that excitement. And then his face blooms. His face blooms. This does not happen. It does not excite him. There is a very beautiful story in Mahabharata when Shri Krishna visits Hastinapur as the emissary of the Pandavas, trying to bring the message of the Pandavas to the Kaurava camp, saying that, well, the 14 years of our exile have finished, 12 years of our exile have finished, and now is the time for you to return to us that what you have taken from us for this period of 12 years. Because the Pandavas had created a whole beautiful capital city called as the Indraprastha from a barren land, and had made it so prosperous that in front of which even Hastinapur, a city which was an ancient city, also was dwarfed in front of the Indraprastha. So the Pandavas said, now give us back, and that was your condition. So Shri Krishna brings this message, and the Kauravas said, nothing doing. We are not giving anything back to the Pandavas. These are incapable. of taking care. They are saying they're incapable and they have no right over it. The people who created that city brought it to such a greater prosperity than ever and made it the most leading capital of those times. So Shri Krishna said, then if you are going to do something like this, the war would become inevitable. And the Pandavas said, they knew that you are not going to return it to them, what rightfully belongs to them, yet they have requested you, even if you do not return that, at least give 5 villages. At least give 5 villages. And that would suffice. That would be enough. And by that, the war, battle, loss of human life, everything can be avoided. And Shri Krishna had brought this, has come as an emissary, as an ambassador of the Pandavas to the Kaurava court. Kauravas, Duryodhana, tried to allure Shri Krishna through various ways by presenting him the most comfortable, residence and, all the services that could be given, the food and the exotic food and every kind of thing, so that Shri Krishna could turn onto his side. But Shri Krishna, it does not excite Shri Krishna. It does not excite Shri Krishna. And on having arrested him, an attempt to arrest him by Duryodhana, when he refuses to take any of those, gifts brought by Duryodhana, Duryodhana is infuriated and he wants to arrest Shri Krishna. This should not be done to a messenger. Messenger is only bringing the message. But going against the rules of moral politics, he wanted to arrest, and yet Shri Krishna's, the face did not fade. The luster was not lost. The same calm, peace, and joy kept beaming from his face. This is what is said over here, that na udeti na astamayati sukha dukkhe mukha prabha. So now, srak chandana satkaradi, srak meaning garlands, flowers, or various pleasant gifts. Chandana means the perfume, the sandalwood paste or the sandalwood oil. Those were the things that people would use in the olden days. Even today, when people bring, those expensive perfumes. Now, satkaradi sukhe prapte samsarinaha iva harsha naudeti. Mukha prabhastamayo. What do you mean by the setting means as if lowering of that glow on the face? Dainyam, a state of as if helplessness. That does not happen. Dhanahani, when there is a loss of wealth or something. Dhanahani, dhikkar. Dhikkar means dishonor. What do they call it? Insult. Dhikkaradi dukkhe prapte na dino bhavati. He does not become as if helpless, hapless. Prapte na dino bhavati. Idanintana swa prayatna visheshamantarena prarabdha karmapadita purva pravahagata bhikshannadikam yatha praptam tasmin sthitihi deharaksha. And now, because we are talking about Jivanmukta, and necessarily now we have understood, in order to accomplish Jivanmukti, there is Vidvat Sannyasa. And therefore he speaks about it as without effortlessly, whatever comes effortlessly. Okay? Vishesh prayatna visheshamantarena. Because whatever is coming effortlessly in your life is the prarabdha phalam. Prarabdha karma padita. Prarabdha karma padita purva pravahagata, as it is coming as if like a stream from the past. Bhiksha, the food, or the various things, what would come from the human interactions in this world, his interactions with the world, yatha praptam, and tasmin sthitihi, he stays well anchored in that, what is called as, that sthiti means deharaksha. This is how the body will continue to exist. Sthiti deharaksha, samadhi dardhyena, and because of the firmness of samadhi, dardhyena, the samadhi is well rooted in the samadhi. Therefore, srak chandanani pratitya bhavat. Why does this happen? Because even if people are going to praise or do anything, the joy of samadhi, the peace of samadhi is so solid for him that all these things, srak chandana, people offering praises or people bringing him gifts, etc., has got no meaning. Srak chandanadi pratitya bhava, the pratiti, it does not create an experience only for him. Samadhi dardhyena. And even when he is not in the state of samadhi, but he is in a state where he is interacting with the world, with the people, kadachin vyutthana dashayam apatataha pratitau api. And even if he experiences it, that somebody is praising, somebody is dishonoring, or somebody is bringing gifts and somebody is kind of insulting, her Viveka dardhyena, because of on the strength of his discrimination, Viveka dardhyena heyopadeyatva buddhya bhavat. Now he does not have that buddhi. So this is something to be had and this is something to be avoided. Heyopadeya buddhya bhavat harshati rahityam upapadyate. It is logically understood. What are the two things which are strong in him? Samadhi and Viveka. Because of samadhi, if he is absorbed in the state of samadhi, if he is in the state of absorption, obviously there is no experience of the situations around him. And even when he is not in the state of samadhi, in the state of absorption, he can see the world, but the Viveka, his discrimination is so strong that there is no heya. Heya means something to be avoided, given up, and something to be acquired, upadeya. This buddhi is not there. Okay? This buddhi, because everything is Brahman. What is there to be avoided is also Brahman. What he desires to gain is also Brahman. And that Brahma, I already am. What can be avoided and what can be rejected? I am as what I am. And therefore, abhavan harshadi rahityam. We can understand this logically, why he does not have he does not swing into the states of excitement or into the state of sadness. Okay, naudeti nastamayati sukhe dukhe mukha prabha yatha prapte sthitiryasya sajivan mukta uchyate. Now you can understand that the inner peace of such a person is like, or is rock solid, is like a mountain, unshakable. Furthermore, yo jagarti sushuptistho yasya jagranna vidyate yasya nirvasano bodhaha sajivan mukta uchyate. Sage Vasishta says, yo jagarti sushuptastho. He is awakened though in sleep. Though he is asleep, he is jagarti. He is awakened. This is how it can be. So this is just not a language of contradictions. There is something to be understood, and the commentary on this is going to make us understand that. Yo jagarti sushuptastha. There is nothing mystical about it. It is simple thing. Okay? Understanding about it. Yo jagarti. He is awakened. What is awakened means? Anybody who is in the state, waking state, is called as awakened person. He is saying, no, sushuptastha jagarti. Though in the sleep, he is awakened. This is strange. Yasya jagranna vidyate. And for him, in the state, when the state of, being awakened, the waking state of experience itself is not there. Jagranna vidyate. Yasya nirvasano bodhaha. His whose experience is not contaminated by the vasanas. Yasya nirvasano bodhaha sajivan mukta uchyate. This person is called as Jivanmukta. Three things are said about Jivanmukta in this shloka. One is that he is awakened even in the sleep. There is no Jagrat avastha for him. But then you just said he is Jagrat in the sleep, which means, does he have insomnia? No. There's nothing like insomnia. Yo jagarti, he sleeps. There is sleep, but that though there is sleep, he is not sleeping. Sushuptastha yasya jagranna vidyate and yasya nirvasano bodhaha sajivan mukta uchyate. Now, this thing is explained even in Bhagavad Gita in 2.69. Ya nisha sarvabhutanam tasyam jagarti sanyami yasyam jagrati bhutani sa nisha pashyato munehe. Okay. Chakshuradi indriyanam swasva golakeshu avasthanena uparati abhava jagarti. Now what happens is, when do you say what is the state of deep sleep? So when the indriyas, various faculties, are not occupying their offices. Okay, these golakas are just the offices where these indriyas, the faculties, from where the faculties function. Okay, then when the indriyas close their offices and they go back into the state of unmanifested, it is called as sushupti. It is the deep sleep state. Now over here, what happens is, that the chakshu, all these 10 indriyas are very much seated in their own golakas, in their offices, in those various organs of the body where they should be, where they are located. Okay. Shravanendriya, Chakshurendriya, Ghanendriya, so on and so forth, all these. So Chakshuradi Indriyanam Swasva Golakeshu Avasthanena. So they are not withdrawn, they are not brought back, so they are there. So Uparati Abhava. So what is there? Absence of withdrawal of all these faculties. Uparati Abhavat, you can say Jagarti, he is awakened, he is in the wakeful state, in Jagarti. But at the same time, what happens? Manovritti rahitatvat sushuptasthaha, but that does not create any thought patterns. In spite of the indriyas very much seated in their own locations, respective locations, yet there is no creation of thoughts. Manovritti abhava. So there is absence of thought. And when do you see absence of thought? Sushupti, in the deep sleep. So you cannot say it is Jagrat Avastha, the state of the waking state, because there is no manovritti. You cannot call it as Sushupti because the Indriyas are very much present. And therefore, though it is Sushupti, but he is still awakened, is said. That's why. Ata eva indriyaihi arthopalabdhihi iti etasya jagarana lakshanasya bhava jagratna vidyate. Now what happens? Unless and until, when will you experience any object? And by object, what do we mean? An object of any of these senses. When is that experience generated? When the sense, the indriya comes in contact with its object. Vishayendriya sannikarsha. This contact has to be there. Now, for the contact also to happen, what do you require? The mind has to function behind it. Correct? So sometimes we don't experience this? That's, you are lost in your thoughts and somebody just passes in front of you, waving his hand, and yet you don't happen to see that person. So next day, this fellow asks, what happened? I was waving out to you. You didn't see me. Oh, I didn't see you at all. Hey, I was just there right in front of you. I didn't see. Why? Because the person was not registered. There was no thought created. And because there is no thought created, there is no experience of that person. Ataha eva inha. Because, so what do you require for experience of the objects is the presence of thought pattern. The thought should get created. And iti etasya jagarana lakshanasya bhava, this itself is not there, which is the very characteristic of the waking state. This is not there, in spite of the indriyas sitting in their own respective places. That's why yo jagarti sushuptasthaha yasya jagranna vidyate. That's why it cannot be called as jagratavastha. Satyapi bodhe jayamano brahmavitvadi abhimanadibhihi bhogarthapadita kamadibhishcha Dhidosho vasana. Now, if there was to be some sort of cognition or a thought creation, then with that thought, it is possible to hold some form of an identity. Some form of an identity. But and therefore, with that identity, the bhoga, the experience, pleasant and unpleasant, is also possible. And with pleasant experience, what is there? May it continue. May I have more of this. And if it is unpleasant, may this go away. I dislike it. And therefore, there is raga dvesha. This is the vasana. This is that itself is called as vasana, the samskara. Whatever comes is seen, but it does not create any ripple, or whatever is seen is not seen through the glasses of prejudice, of the samskaras, or through the vasana. Okay, and therefore, vrittirahityena taddosha bhavan nirvasanatvam. So what does he say? So now, though there is awareness, yet because this awareness is not as if the awareness through the thought, and therefore that knowledge, his awareness remains uncontaminated, is free from every impurity. So this is Jivanmukta. So he is whose knowledge, he is whose experience thus remains free from any contamination. He who is Jagarti Sushuptastaha, though apparently is asleep, but there is no sleep, and therefore even the Jagrata Avastha doesn't exist for him. Such a person is called as Jivanmukta. Ragadvesha bhayadinam anurupam charannapi yo antarvyomavadatyachha sajivan mukta uchyate. Now, how is his transaction with the world and conducted? For whatever little time that he may have transaction with the world, how does it transact? How is it possible? That is explained over here. Depending upon the earlier samskaras, now the transactions can take place. Raga dvesha bhayadinam, certain samskaras meaning the impressions which are there, they will be there, whether those impressions are of raga or dvesha, bhaya, etc. And guided by those, the body-mind complex now functions. Charanapi yo antar vyoma vachanna atyachaha. Atyacha means extremely clean. Okay? Like the space. There can be dust rising in the air or some sort of a pollutant. It can pollute the air. But does the pollution ever contaminate the space? Space remains uncontaminated. Things can come and go, but that does not touch or contaminate the space. And therefore, how is space? Atyachaha, extremely pure. Okay, like that. So he's whose inner being remains as pure as that, untouched even by all the various transactions which are conducted by the body-mind complex. He whose inner being never gets polluted, contaminated, is Jivan Mukta, is said. Raganurupam bhojanadi pravrittihi. Say suppose if he is a person who was born in south of India, then obviously he will eat idli, he will like idli sambar if it is presented. Okay. Raganurupam bhojanadi pravrittihi. Dveshanurupam Bauddha kapalikadibhyo vimukhatvam. Now, because he did not like the ideas presented by these kapalikas, different spiritualists, and, who have stranger ideas that, in order to be spiritually uplifted, you need to have, the spiritual practices which transcend or which transgress the general code of morality. No, this fellow is going to say, no. In order to overcome the sense of, what do they call it? घृणा को क्या कहते हैं इंग्लिश में? Anybody?
Hatred.
Hatred is one thing. घृणा, जैसे कोई गंदी चीज हो, and then you feel yucky about repulsion. Yeah. So now there are some people, they say that, you in order to overcome the sense of repulsion, now go and eat those very things which are repulsive. What is this? What is this? And so Kapalika Adi, and so he does not subscribe to those ideas. You don't have to do all these things. Gandhiji had strange ideas about brahmacharyam. His idea of celibacy was something very strange, which is not according to the Shastra. Okay, so Dveshanurupam Bauddha Kapala, he turns away from such people, and so there is his turning away from them or him neglecting them is what? Dveshanurupam behavior. Bhayanurupam, if there is, if he sees a scorpion or a snake, not that he is going to sit on it. He is not going to call the scorpion, come here and sit in my lap. He is going to walk away from there. He is going to say, why go and disturb it? Bhayanurupam sarpa vyagradhibhyo apasarpanam. He would change his route and go away. Okay? Apasarpanam. He will walk away from there. Adi Shabdena, and by even adding that word etc. over there, Raga, Dvesha, Bhaya, Adi. That Adi will bring what? Certain things like, the sense of superiority, etc. So now this, as a yogi, then they'll say, well, I sit for samadhi for 2 hours. Then somebody says, I sit for 2.5 hours. Like that. There is Adi Shabdena Matsaryanurupam. The sense of envy will make it. Matsaryanurupam. Itara yogibhyo adhikyena samadhya anushtanam. Now he gets into the samadhi anushtana, the practice of samadhi, with even more intensity. All this is seen in him. Yet Satyapi, in spite of all this, Vyuthana Dashayam Idrisha Acharane, so Raganurupam Bhoshanadi Pravritti, Dveshanurupam Vimukhatvam, Bhayanurupam Apasarpanam, and Matsaryanurupam Adhikyena Samadhi Anusthana, etc. is there. Yet Satyapi, in spite of all such things which can be seen in the state, the transactional state over here, yet what happens? Idrisha Acharane, Purvabhyasena Prapite. And how are they happening? Just because the samskaras of the past will continue to accomplish this transactions, yet Vishranta Chittasya, but his mind has attained such peace, is at such peace, it is at such rest, Vishranta Chittasya Kalushya Rahitatvad. It now does, that mind does not, because just because there is a behavior which is raganukula, dveshanukula, bhayanukula, or matsaryanurupa is there, yet it does not create any disturbance over there. Kalushya rahitatvad atyacham. Hence, his inner being remains extremely pure. This is his innocence. This is his innocence, immaculate. Yatha vyomni, just as the sky, dhuma, dhuli, megadhi bhi yukte api, nirlepa swabhavatvad, atishayena swachhatvam. Like in the sky, though there can be smoke or dust or even clouds, that is all there in the sky, in the space, yet nothing ever sticks to it does not create any scar, any impression on the space. Nirlepa swabhavatvad atishayena swachhatvam. It does not create any taint, and therefore he is extremely pure. So such a person is called as Jivanmuktaha. Furthermore, Yasya naham krito bhavaha buddhir yasya na lipyate kurvato vapi sajivan mukta uchyate. Yasya naham krito bhavaha, his whose existence is not defined by the ego. Yasya naham krito bhavaha, his whose existence is not defined by the ego or as the ego. Buddhir yasya na lipyate, and there is no buddhilepa. The buddhilepa is in form of what is the function of buddhi? To know, and knowledge means certainty. So what could be the defect of buddhi? That the buddhi does not come to certainty. Nishtay nahi ho pata. Then what this state is what? Where there is no certainty, it is the state of doubtfulness. And therefore, what exactly is called as buddhilepa? Samshayaha. The doubt itself is called as buddhilepa. So in case of a person whose existence is not defined as the ego for him, for himself, is not defined. The meaning of I is not this ego, etc. Kartrutvam, bhoktrutvam. Where has it gone? The page has to. Yasya naham krito bhavaha. Okay, then buddhi. What is the defect of the buddhi? That it cannot come to conclusion, and hence it is in a state of doubt. This doubt is not there. Atma is Brahman. That is what he is now certain about. Lipyate kurvataha akurvataha api, whether he is doing something or not doing something. Both these things, ahankara is not there, his ahankrita bhava is not there, and there is no doubt. So there is no samshaya or there is no viparyaya. Whether he is transacting or not transacting, whether he is absorbed in the state of samadhi or he is in a state of where transactions take place. These two things, samshaya and viparyaya, are not there. such a person is called as Jivanmuktaha. And what is his state then? Jivanmukti. Therefore, Purvardham Vidvat Sannyas Prastave Vyakhyatam. Now the teacher says, if you remember, we have discussed the shloka of Bhagavad Gita when we were explaining Vidvat Sannyas. In that portion of the text, we have explained this part, Yasya nahankruto bhavaha buddhir yasya na lipyate, because there is a similar shloka in Bhagavad Gita too. And that Bhagavad Gita shloka was taken over for discussion. So he says, Purvardhan, the first half of that shloka is already explained. Yasya nahankruto bhavaha means what? Yasya satta, his whose existence, tadatmya adhyasena na achaditaha, is not covered by any sense of identity. Okay? Adhyas, by any superimposition. And then lepa means samshaya. Iti. Loke baddhasya purushasya shastriyam karma kurvataha aham karta iti chidatma ahankruto bhavati. In world, when a person is doing something that is prescribed, scripturally prescribed, then he says, I am the doer. Okay? I am the doer. So, aham karta iti chidatma ahankruto bhavati. Now, therefore, now the I, the self, becomes as if he is the karta. Bhavi swargam prapsyami. And by my doing this scriptural action, what is it that I will gain? Some heavenly reward. Okay? Some celestial reward. So, therefore, bhavi swargam prapsyami iti harshena buddhihi lipyate. Excited with this, his buddhi gets stained. Lipyate. Akurvatastu, and then who does not do this? Akurvatastu tyaktavanasmiti ahankratatvam. Oh, I did not do what I was supposed to do. I could have done such a good thing. I went over there to Kashi, but because it was cold, I refused to take Ganga bath. And I missed it. I could have taken Ganga bath. I could not take it. I did not do that. When will I go again? Tyaktavanasmiti ahankratatvam. So now he has that vishada when it comes to the scriptural actions. Even when it comes to, doing or not doing the prohibited actions. If somebody does this prohibited action, then what? Oh, I have done pap. And if he does not do that, oh, well, I have saved myself from this pap. And so also it is true with the worldly activities too. Oh, I should have made my investments then when I was young, and I should have put little money over there. And today, look, those people who did that investment 20 years ago, they are all millionaires now. And I could have easily purchased that. I missed it. So he has regrets. But he who has done that, I took this wise decision then, when this company was so small, and now it has grown to, the Fortune 500, and I am a shareholder, and this is the premium that I'm enjoying. So he with the Laukika karma also, there is no ahankara, there is no buddhilepa. Evam pratishiddha karmani laukika karmani cha yatha sambhavam yojaniyam. It should be understood everywhere, wherever it comes to any form of karma, whether it is shastriya or laukika. In the shastriya karma, doing something that is prescribed and doing something that is prohibited, or not doing something that is prescribed and not doing something that is prohibited. In all these cases, the ahankara, the sense of ego, that sense of kartrutvam, bhoktrutvam rises, but in him, that does not rise at all. Okay? Why? Jivan muktasya tu tadatma adhyasa bhavad harshadiya bhava cha na doshadvayam. This, what are these two doshas over here? Buddhilepa and ahankrita bhavaha. What are the two doshas? What are the two defects over here? Buddhilepa and ahankriti. These two are absent in the Jivan Mukta. Why are they absent? Because the adhyasa, the sense, the superimposition does not take place. Okay? That does not take place because, first of all, through the knowledge, the superimposition is already falsified. And because of the samadhi abhyasa, the superimposition does not, the false superimposition also does not appear. And that's why he is free from this doshadvayam. All right. So this is how a person in whom these two doshas are not there, dosha meaning the defects are not there, is called as Jivan Mukta. So now we come across the term Jivan Mukta in Yoga Vasishtha. By that, we now know that this Smriti admits to the state of Jivan Mukti. Okay, so we come to understand there is Jivan Mukti, and this Prakarana is a pramanam for Jivan Mukti. There are 2 or 3 more shlokas from the Yoga Vasishtha which still are going to talk about the Jivan Mukta. But let us not forget, why has this whole Prakarana, why has this section discussion begun? It is in order to establish the pramana for Jivan Mukti. We are going to see this where the term Jivan Mukti itself is employed. Then by looking at these lakshanas, the same characteristics we are going to find as a description of in other places, sthita prajna, etc. We are going to see that, where he will call sthita prajna, the man of steadfast wisdom. Man in the sense, man or woman does not matter. The person of a steadfast wisdom. Okay, sthita prajna. Then whether he is called as the Bhagavad Bhakta, the devotee of a god, of the god. That also, though it is said as devotee of the god, does not mean that he is some fanatic or something like that. Oh no. If you look closely at the characteristics which are described as the devotee of the god, you will find them to be matching exactly like the Jivan Mukta. And therefore, even that there is this word used as Bhagavad Bhakta, it is that Bhagavad Bhakta means Jivan Mukta. And hence, whether it is Yoga Vasishtha or Bhagavad Gita or any other Smriti Grantha, if this is the description, it means Jivan Mukta. If it is talking about Jivan Mukta, which means it is a pramanam for Jivan Mukti. This is the section. So we will see more of these, some few more shlokas, two or three more shlokas, verses from Yoga Vasishtha when we meet next. And then we will proceed to the shlokas of Bhagavad Gita where Jivan Mukti becomes evident. Okay. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnaat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti 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 Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashyakritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavadvyaptadehaaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Om. Thank you, friends. Thank you very much.